Well, good evening, Not Moved podcast. This is Chief 316 for your NASCAR recapping the Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas Speedway over the weekend, and looking forward to the elimination race at the Charlotte Roval. Let's go ahead and break it down. We're going to try and get through this. So, first off, I hope you all are having yourselves a great evening. I'm recording this on Monday night. I think there's some football games going on for Monday Night Football, so I wanted to go ahead and just knock this out so that way I can get it over with and get it on so that way we can get pumped up for this elimination race coming up this weekend. So, first things first, looking at it from afar, the Hollywood Casino 400. Like I said, it did not disappoint. Some amazing racing with this car at this track. For some reason, this race in the fall always produces some of the best racing. Even the spring race at Kansas normally does. I think Kyle Larson completely dominated that race, but nevertheless, this race was amazing. I hope y'all got to watch. I enjoyed I was able to turn it on, I think about stage two, or no, excuse me, I was able to watch it, and then Chiefs game came on, so I was kind of flipping back and forth, and then it got to a point where I had the Chiefs game on one monitor and the race on the other monitor, just so that way I could kind of keep up with what's going on. So I will say this, I saw a lot of great strategy over the weekend. I saw a lot of just good hard nosed racing. Like I said, Toyota's playground. You had 2311 up front for a good amount of the day. You had Joe Gibbs Toyotas for a good amount of the day. But at the very last moment, Denny Hamlin goes in with fighting power steering issues for most of the afternoon with almost no power steering, goes and tries to drive it in turn three and four to try and win the race, passing Bubba Wallace, ultimately putting both of them kind of rubbing off the wall, off throttle. Chase Elliott drives right under him and steals it for the victory. I got to say, that was an amazing last couple of laps to watch. I got to say, Chase Elliott taking four tires at the end, at that very last caution. He was the first car, I think everyone ahead of him. He started, I think, 10th, and everyone ahead of him only took two tires, the first car on four fresh Goodyears, and he was able to drive through, got a caution, and then turned around after some rubbing on the track. These guys decided to allow Chase Elliott to come out and steal it. I mean, look at this leaderboard you have right here. You have Chase Elliott at one, okay? You have second place, Denny Hamlin. Third place, Christopher Bell. Fourth place, Chase Briscoe. Fifth place, Kyle Larson. Sixth place, or excuse me, correction. We have Chase Briscoe at fourth, Bubba at fifth, Kyle Larson at sixth, and looks to be Tyler Reddick at seven. So you have 5 out of the 7 top finishers Toyotas. Okay. Like I said, that's going to be their playground. Other than that, it's Hendrick Motorsports. And sure enough, they were able to stick around and steal that victory right at the end. That I can honestly go on and ramble. Not trying to sound a little biased just because Chase Elliott's my driver, but I got to say that was great. Even Brad Keselowski produced a top 10 finish, finishing 8th. William Byron at 9th. And then you also had Shane Van Gisbergen, who kind of surprised everyone because as far as his mile and a half program really hasn't developed all that well. So the fact that Shane Van Gisbergen finished in top 10, it just makes me wonder, man, if he could have made it past into this round, where it could be, because this weekend is his playground at the Charlotte Roval. Now, moving on towards that Charlotte Roval race, you're going to have a lot of movers and shakers. You're going to have a lot of guys fighting for every inch. You're going to see some hard-nosed racing. You're going to see some guys just complete dumping people when it gets to a certain point because they want to go into the next round, because this weekend is a major elimination race. It always has been, always will be. So now that we have broken down the top 10, saw all those, I want to go to the points and just to let you guys kind of know where we're at here, okay? So with that win, that punches Chase Elliott's ticket into the next round of 8. You have Chase Elliott first place in points. Then you have Ryan Blaney, who won last week at Loudon. Okay. So then moving forward, now all the remaining drivers are eligible for a win, as well as also moving on to the next round, and then we'll go to the cut line. So right now, under Ryan Blaney, you have Kyle Larson, who is essentially plus 54. He's 54 points ahead of the cut line. Honestly, all he needs to do is finish in the top 10 in the first stage, and he moves on to the next round. In my opinion, most likely the same thing for Denny Hamlin, who's at fourth in points. He is plus 48. In fifth in points, you have Christopher Bell, who's plus 44. Then moving on past that, you have William Byron, who's in sixth. He's plus 40. Then at seventh, you have Chase Briscoe, who is plus 21. And then Joey Logano, who's plus 13. And that's rounding out your top 8, who are currently above the cutoff line for this elimination race. Okay. I will say this as far as people who are, in my opinion, safe and people who are not. I'm going to say William Byron, Chase Briscoe, and Joey Logano are, in my opinion, not safe at this time because a lot can happen. This is a very tricky track that they're about to come up to. Now, rounding down under the cutoff, you have Bubba Wallace, who is in 10th place. Or excuse me, you have Ross Chastain, who's in 9th. He is, let's look over here. He is minus 13 points below the cut line. Okay. Then you have Bubba Wallace, who's minus 26. You have Tyler Reddick, who is minus 29. And then you have Austin Cindric, definitely, he's going to need that victory. Now, I will say this, everyone above Austin Cindric, Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, and Ross Chastain all can drive their way into this next round. They're just going to need a little bit of help. They're going to have to start off qualifying high up in the field. They're going to have to get good track position and make sure they keep it under their tires. They're also going to have to get a little bit of luck on their side. Hopefully someone else has some bad luck and can honestly let them capitalize on it. Now, if these guys can go out and steal a victory, then great. Moves everyone down. My personal opinion right now, honestly, I'm going to say I picked it last week. I think honestly, it's just not his year. I think you're going to see Bubba probably make his way up to the top, and I think it's either going to take out Chase Briscoe or Joey Logano. I just feel that in my gut as far as a guess is concerned. So we shall see if these drivers can capitalize and get it going. Now that we have broken down the points, I want to talk a little bit about that last lap pass that Chase Elliott stole for a victory. So Denny Hamlin was going against Bubba Wallace going into turn 3. Denny Hamlin was fighting power steering issues for most, if not all, afternoon. And it was, he was in the lead for a good portion of this race. I think he led almost 140 laps, if not a little bit more. And I must say, he also got the fastest lap of the race award too. So that's also a point right there as well for him. I will say this, going into that last turn, he tried to just drive through the corner just to see if it would stick. He's trying to go for a win. I don't blame him. It's kind of tricky because the car he wrecked, Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin co-owns that car with 2311 Racing with Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan, for those of you that don't know. Yes, the Michael Jordan basketball. So I will say this, I wouldn't have done it. Listening to Bubba Wallace's post-race interviews, they were honestly, like I said with Joe Gibbs Racing last week, went through the media training, but you can tell he's upset. He said, there's not much to talk about. We'll see what we can do to capitalize. He's just trying to make face with the cameras, and I completely understand it. I don't fault him for it. But if it were me, oh boy, I would be mad. I borderline may not have a job on Monday, but it is what but it is what it is. It's a contract driver. These drivers, they're a different breed when it comes to racing on the track and what they're going to do to try and win a race. Uh, I will say this, as far as what I saw all day at that racetrack was just hard nosed racing. You had guys going, I mean, John Hunter Nemechek honestly got into a wreck and completely flipped on his side, scooted around turns 3 and 4 on the side of his car, and then flipped in the infield up on the front stretch. And I got to say, all my years, never seen a car flip at Kansas. That was very interesting. I'm glad he's okay. I'm glad that he walked away from it. There was no lingering issues, nothing major. So I'm glad to hear that. I just wanted to get that out there. Thoughts and prayers with his family. Also, I did hear within the news story that Tyler Reddick and his family are going through some personal issues as far as their son Rookie. My thoughts and prayers are out to his family as a father of two. I got to say, better man than me for being able to go through and drive that race with a heavy heart. So I think everything, as far as I know, has been listed as okay with his son Rookie. So I just wanted to say that on a professional level, my thoughts and prayers are with Tyler Reddick and his family. Uh, Now, let's go ahead and break down next weekend's race. We have the Bank of America Roval 400 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's at 3 o'clock Eastern on the USA Network. All right. Now, this race is, like I said, it is an elimination race. This field in the point system gets cut down from 12 to 8. These last 3 races that are coming up, there's some very different tracks, some very just you have a mile and a half, you have a super speedway, and you have a short track. So you're going to get the best out of all these drivers. I also did want to point out for the race last weekend at Kansas, this was the first true mile and a half that they're not we, but the NASCAR Cup Series has raced on since the Coca-Cola 600 back in May. So I was glad to see cars up front who are normally there. I was glad to see cars up front who were honestly, they made a lot of improvement, like the Keselowski and the Fords. They honestly were moving things right up. Just, they were honestly making it work and making a good push to start the season strong next year, because like Keselowski's out of the points. He's just trying to go for the owner's championship at this point. So looking forward to what Ford can do to capitalize, just because with the Fords that are remaining in the championship standings, the one I really only have faith in at this point is Ryan Blaney. So we'll see what happens there. Now, moving back to the Charlotte Roval race this weekend, it's a road course. You got to make sure and just let it be known, the elephant in the room. This is Shane Van Gisbergen's playground. He's going to drive the absolute wheels off that car to get himself another win, especially with now he's got Randall Burnett. His crew chief has been announced next year when he goes full-time Cup racing, who's honestly a very good crew chief for young drivers who are trying to make their presence known in this sport, in this Cup series. So I think that'll be a good fit for them. There's a lot of more silly season news that we'll get to towards the end of the year, if not into the off season, because I'm going to keep these episodes going. So I just want to say, look out for this race this weekend, the Bank of America Roval 400, 3 o'clock Eastern USA Network. I will say this: if you want to see cars turning right and turning left, see a lot of beating and banging, see guys who are honestly driving for their playoff life to move on to the next round, this will be a good race to watch. I can always tell you, I think out of all the races that they've been racing at this configuration around the Charlotte Motor Speedway where they turned it into a road course, I think I've only seen maybe one that was honestly one left had me leaving my head scratching. But for the most part, this is a very good race. You're going to see an amazing finish. I can already predict it. You're going to see a great finish. You're going to see a last good, I want to say good solid 5 laps, where even if you can't watch most of the race, wait till the end, that's the way, or that's where you're going to want to watch it, because someone's going to earn their money and someone's going to get sent home and they're going to be devastated. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. I think we covered everything I wanted to cover as far as news, notes, everything I saw. And there's probably more that I'll miss, but at the same time, we're getting better at this. We're doing big things at the Not Move Podcast Network. We're check on all the socials, subscribe to our YouTube page. We're getting a lot of deals done. I'm hoping. I know we did get some looks at NFL shop promo codes, MLB shop promo codes. I'm hoping uh, in the near future, especially by next season, we can try and see if they have a promo code opportunity for the NASCAR Pro Shop. So that way I can help you guys out. So that way anything that you guys do, put in the promo code, it gets eyes on my podcast. So that way we can make this thing bigger. I could start bringing in bigger guests. I'm got a few of those in the works where I'm trying to bring in some folks who follow racing and love racing just as much as I do. So that way I can get some more boots on the ground. I can get some eyes in the sky, and I can honestly give y'all a better experience. I know these are kind of short for now, but eventually they will get bigger. They will get better. And I do appreciate your guys' patience. Thank you so much. I hope you all have yourselves a great evening on purpose. This is Chief 316 signing off, and always stay not moved.
This non casual podcast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or reused without the authorized written consent of the Not Move Podcast Network. Thank you, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.